Good morning. You are listening to First Title National Real Estate Radio Show. I'm your host, Doug Dennison, and we are broadcasting from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city at WFOY 1240 AM studios. Through the power of the internet, this program is being streamed worldwide on 1240news.com. The show will also be archived on FirstTitleServices.com and TitleCompany.com. First Title and Escrow are a leading title company, and they are the sponsors of this program. Additionally, this show will be posted on YouTube.com. Our radio show mission statement: to provide an educational experience for listeners in a promotional format for real estate sales across the country. We're going to be talking about real estate, different real estate markets across the country. We get a lot of topics today. I've got a couple of great guests that will be calling in a little bit later. A little update one more time that the station here at WFOY has now an FM station. It is 102.3. So you might want to hook on that. Sometimes a little north and south of St. Augustine, the transmission isn't as clear. So now with 102.3 FM, there's a bigger range, both south and north and west of us, of course. Again, St. Augustine is the nation's oldest city, and very proud to be broadcasting from here, and have broadcast from this station for more than 2 years, 3 years just about, and it's been wonderful. They're great people here. A couple of things I'm looking at. I always like to try to give you some updates from around the world in regards to news items, interest about real estate, interest about mortgages. I always like to go on dsnews.com. They are my go-to place to get daily input as far as what's happening. You can go on dsnews.com. There's a thing called the Daily Dose, and you can sign up. It's a free email that they send out once a day, Monday through Friday. They do an excellent job on it. It's basically the top stories for anybody that wants to be involved in real estate, mortgages, the default servicing part of our business, which is REO, real estate owned, foreclosures, that kind of thing. So anyway, I've got a from DS News. The title is "First-Time Buyers Have Smaller Budget Interest in Foreclosures." This is written by Esther Cho on July 5th. She says first-time home buyers tend to work with smaller budgets compared to repeat buyers, which increases the incentive to buy a foreclosure, according to a blog from doorsteps.com. This is a website that provides information to help potential home buyers. Citing a survey from the National Association of Realtors, the website noted 65% of first-time buyers are open to the idea of buying a foreclosure. All right, we've got a call. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Doug Dennison. Jim Mooney, how are you?
Well, my friend, I have not talked to you in a while, and for our listening audience, tell us again who you are, where you work, and your company, please.
Jim Mooney, working out of the fabulous Florida Keys and working for a boutique little real estate office known as Moorings Realty in Alamorada.
Well, you have been on the show before. You're my go-to guy in regards to the Florida Keys. You do commercial, you do residential, you cover a lot of the Keys. Tell us, first of all, how did you get into real estate, Jim?
Transition type of thing through life. Went from buying real estate to end up having to sell real estate for a living, which has turned out pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, I've always liked real estate, so it was a pretty easy transition for me. And having been involved in the political world for a while, the land development regulations in the Keys are very tough and difficult to understand, so I thought, well, I'll put my little bit of knowledge that I have left to work and see if I can help buyers find something that meets all their goals and criteria and accomplishes a common goal of success.
Well, it is rather difficult because I've been involved. I've sold some properties down there many years ago. And tell me what TDAs, TDRs, what is it?
TDRs, yeah.
TDRs.
Another part of our life here.
Explain that to our listening audience, please.
TDR, transferable development rights.
Okay.
And basically, what that says is that we have been told by the state of Florida, starting way back in the 70s and early 80s, that we cannot continue to grow at a pace that we were on. So they said no more growth, basically.
Okay.
So in the entire county, we have roughly 200 units per year allowed. So that's 200 units in 120 miles. Alamorada, in particular, 28 units a year maximum. Have 7 of those are affordable housing units, so we're workforce housing.
Okay.
So what you do is you have an existing motel, and you want to build a motel somewhere. You've got to buy an old motel, knock it down, and transfer those rights in theory. Same thing apply for a house. And then of course, the rules and regulations after that are very restrictive as to where they can go to receiver sites and sender sites. And, that's where I think my knowledge of the system comes into play, and it's worked out pretty well for myself and my customers.
Well, again, I know the Florida Keys. I love the Florida Keys and go down there a couple of times a year. But for our listening audience, which is national and, to be honest, international, it was funny. Jim was doing a broadcast a couple of weeks ago, and one of the people that were on the show, sends me an email and says, believe it or not, Doug, after I got done the show, somebody from Switzerland emailed me and said I did a great job. So, in this internet world, you never know who's listening. But for our listeners, tell us a little bit about the Florida Keys. It is just a unique place. It's so beautiful, and I don't want to do the promotion. You do it for me.
Well, it's pretty easy to promote, actually. I mean, we're the Caribbean, yet staying stateside. Roughly the Florida Keys are roughly 120 miles long, made up of 52, 54 bridges, hundreds of islands, all connected via the bridge system. Our fresh water comes in from the mainland. Our electricity comes in from the mainland. But we have crystal blue waters. We have fishing that's as good as anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, our lifestyle is a pretty laid-back lifestyle. As you know, after these number of years we've been working together and talking to each other, it's a place where people come to decompress. And they go, wow, I like your lifestyle down here. And that's what it's all about. Lifestyle and water sports activities that's the name of the game in the Florida Keys. Absolutely spectacular. It's stem to stern. It's just beautiful.
Well, I'm thinking, my guess is that people come down there for a vacation and say, you know what, I want this 365 days a year. So then they start getting into buying a house, perhaps buying a business, perhaps building something, and that's where you come in to try to assist them in that regards.
Yeah, I mean, buying a property in the Florida Keys is it's certainly not an inexpensive challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You can get some smaller condos that are still relatively affordable, for a lot of people. But the reality of it is over the last 7 months, our average sale price in the Florida Keys is pushing $600,000 a unit.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, our market, right now our market's very difficult because we just are running out of inventory.
Mm-hmm.
People have discovered the Florida Keys. I think that via the economy and the hiccups that are around the world and, some of the issues that people face in traveling, they end up saying, wow, I can stay right here at home and have everything I'm looking for with quality schools and quality medical and quality life safety departments and quality transportation, and then of course incredible cuisine and incredible recreation. So we're booming right now, and that's it's amazing. It's almost as if everybody in the world's discovered us all of a sudden. We've been here for a long time, but now it's nuts.
Well, it is a wonderful place to go to and to live and to play. Absolutely. And I know you're a big fisherman, and that's part of the lifestyle that you get out and if you're still working, you do your work, but you try to save a little time before work or after work, and even
fish every afternoon.
I'm going to say that maybe a lot of your business is repeat business, and that the clients that you do a great job with become your friends. They live 5-10 miles from you, and all of a sudden you're seeing them at a restaurant, or you go together on a boat. Is that the kind of lifestyle that's down there?
You describe it to a T, Doug. Everybody that I've sold to have become friends, and you say 10 miles for us. When your island's 5 miles long and a half a mile wide on average, driving 10 miles to go somewhere is nothing.
Yep.
We're just used to that kind of mileage, so it sounds like a long ways, but in fact, our traffic jam usually consists of only doing 40 instead of 45. We hardly ever get down to 0, unless a big boat's coming through a bridge. But everybody becomes friends, and we fish, and it's an afternoon boat ride. Hey, let's have a cocktail. How about an appetizer? Hey, you want to go throw in a bonefish for an hour? So with the access, you don't have to live on the water in the Florida Keys to enjoy the water.
Yeah.
It's certainly a perk, but I always remind people that, listen, you live on an island, you are on the water. You can throw a rock east 4 times and hit the water, and west 4 times and hit the water. So don't be discouraged if the price ranges for direct open water is out of your reach. No worries. There's beautiful homes inland. Beautiful. Lots of landscaping, gorgeous trees. We're very lush, as you all know.
Yes.
I mean, right now I'm sitting here in front of my office looking at Royal Poincianas in full bloom, and, it's gorgeous sitting here just looking across the street at the properties and the restaurants and stuff and the art galleries. And it's a wonderful place. Always a quick ride to Key West for a little fun in a big city,
Yep.
Oh, big city Key West.
Well,
that's going that way, it is going north, in my opinion. No traffic heading that way.
Tell me, for perspective, how far is it from you to Key West, and how far is it from you to Miami?
Actually, I am sitting right in the middle. I am 80 miles north of Key West and 80 miles south of Miami International Airport.
Wow.
So for people wanting to visit the Florida Keys, Miami International or Fort Lauderdale International, easy ride to the Keys, and now Southwest Airlines is flying into Key West. That's opened up a whole new avenue for travelers. I mean, that's really broadened the spectrum for travelers into the Florida Keys. They can fly into Key West and then drive north. And obviously, a lot of locals now are heading to Key West to fly out of because it's just a pretty ride.
I had no idea. When did that happen?
It just happened. It happened basically. They got full-blown into the Keys early March, I believe it was. And, obviously limited routes still, but that's a major carrier. And, of course, there are other major carriers down there as well. But that's been a perk for a lot of people. And it's nice. All my friends are flying out of Key West now whenever we can. Just we don't have traffic jams. We don't have to worry about getting stuck.
And
Small airport and,
Miami Airport, you can have a traffic jam.
You can. It's a big city, but that's all right. I mean, realistically, Miami International to the Florida Keys, to my house, which is roughly, Upper Matacumbe, right dead in the middle of the Florida Keys, hour and a half.
Okay.
Easy drive. Certainly not a bad drive, but, if I can drive an hour south, what the heck? I look at the little key deers and get on the big pine key and see little baby deers are about as big as a dog, and, well, that's a big old deer.
Key West.
Everything's good down here, Doug. We miss you, man.
Key West deer. You talked a little bit about the lifestyle. Obviously, fishing is great. Bone fishing is big in your area. I believe.
Bone fishing is huge. It's we took a hit a few years ago with that freeze that hit
Okay.
South Florida.
Okay.
But the fish have finally started to make the comeback. And, it's not the first time it's got cold in South Florida. It just doesn't happen about every 25 years, that's all. So those fish were not prepared for it, but the next round will be a little more prepared.
Mm-hmm.
The genetic coding always works. Fishing's been very good, though. I have not bonefished in a few months, but my friends are showing me pictures on Facebook every day, and they're
really?
"Look, back." I said, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate that. But fishing in general has been very good this year. We've had a little bit of breeze this summer.
Okay.
But, that just makes for a little tougher ride out. Once you get offshore, you're all right. Just getting there in the shallows is a little bumpy, but everything's been good. Dolphin fishing has been great. Tarpon fishing was very good this year.
Okay.
For the crazy tarpon fishermen, I call them. All my buddies, they're maniacal. Sunrise and sunset all day fishing for those big old monsters.
Well, President...
I'm jealous, of course. You know that.
Yes, I know that. President Bush kind of, opened the eyes to the world about bone fishing, I think, down in the Keys.
Oh, yeah, he definitely didn't. He didn't hurt anything. I mean, he was an avid fisherman, as well as many presidents throughout the years. My stepfather fished Harry Truman and
wow.
Bonefish back in the 50s, and J. Edgar Hoover. And so, Washington, D.C. is not unaware of the Florida Keys, trust me.
And I think...
They sneak in here a lot, and nobody knows it, all the law centers and stuff, because they like to come here and relax.
Yes.
As do a lot of stars that nobody... That's the beauty of the Florida Keys. Regardless of who you are and your status, all we really care about is, are you a nice guy, and do you want to have fun having a nice dinner and going fishing or going out in the boat, watching the sunset. And it seems to be that everybody comes here for that one reason, laid-back lifestyle.
You talked about the workforce and that new building is entailed in that. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's mandated, obviously, by the state. Obviously, with you heard the prices, everything almost $600,000 in the last month.
Yep.
Average sale price, and everything's selling. For the last year, we've yet to go under 90% of asking price on a closed sale. So, obviously, it's becoming a seller's market again rather rapidly. And, with that said, when the workforce itself, and I grew up in the Florida Keys, so I clearly come from a workforce family.
Yep.
Latchkey kids were long before that. We were just kids who got left on an island down in a house on the beach. There was no latches because there was nobody here.
I got it.
But, I was here 55 years. And, there's a need for housing. There's some great projects going along and coming up throughout the Keys that makes it affordable for a family that has good jobs, but, is still pressed. We don't want people to be so pressed they can't live here because we need a sense of community, and the workforce housing provides that sense of community. It's wonderful to have lots of wealthy people that spend lots of money for our businesses, and they do keep the world going around in Florida Keys, like any tourist destination. But with that said, we need somebody to also work with them and help them, provide them with their needs. and our workforce housing are beautiful. They're nice Key West style, tin roofs, and very, very chic looking, but very affordable. And that's the most important thing. It's a necessary thing of life in the Florida Keys. And again, like every tourist area in the country, they all face a need for workforce housing.
Yes.
And so you can't hide it. You don't stick your head in the sand. You deal with it, and you make it happen. And that's what we're doing. And we're proud of it. I mean, we're proud of what we do.
You have so many great restaurants and
oh boy,
motels and hotels. You've got to staff them, and then you've got to find places for them to live. And so,
yes, you do.
Very.
A lot of our workforce does come off the mainland through shuttle buses, and that's not unusual at all. It was that way when I was a kid.
Oh, really? Okay.
Way back when the sand came out of the ocean, it seems like. But I mean, that's not unusual.
Okay.
We have a lot of workforce out of the mainland.
Okay.
They come in shuttle buses and stuff, and they're wonderful, wonderful workers.
Yep.
And a lot has to do with culture and how you grew up and where you live, and they like the mainland. There's more to do. We don't have malls here, as you know. We don't have a lot of golf courses. We have a handful throughout the Keys.
Yep.
Exclusive of Ocean Reef, obviously, which has 3 championship courses. But after that, we've got a couple marathon and one in Key West, and that's about it. And a little one at Chica Lodge.
Well, I don't think.
If you're looking for malls and stuff, this is not the place to be. But if you're looking for a laid-back lifestyle, this is the place to be.
You are the man. You are the spokesman for the Florida Keys. You can help residential. You can help commercial. You've got a lot of properties that I know that you are selling right now. How can people contact you? How can people get on your website to look at these houses, the prices, and to, give you a call and get some more information?
Well, my contact is pretty easy. It's jim@mooringsrealty.com. Website is jimmooney.floridakeysrealtor.com. And my phone number is 305-522-3383. And I can be reached pretty much 24 hours a day via those contacts.
Well, unless there's no transmission from your boat.
Well, I do carry a phone on the boat, but I try to avoid picking it up if I'm fishing.
I hear you. I hear you. You don't want those fish hearing you. Those.
Well, I have to admit, I'd prefer not to be picking the phone up if I'm fishing, but I do from time to time.
I know you do, and I have appreciated our friendship throughout the years and our interaction and our sales together. Again, you are the man as far as the Florida Keys. One more time, give us your website.
Jim Mooney, FloridaKeysRealtor.com.
Perfect. Have a wonderful weekend, and again, I appreciate you giving me a call. And
Doug, thank you so much for letting me on your show. I always enjoy it, and I always talking to you. And let's get together next time you're down here. We always say that, but you're a busy man.
Oh boy, I just can't wait to get down there and spend some time with you.
Yeah. All right, Doug. Have a wonderful weekend, and say hello to everybody we know.
Okay, you take care, my friend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Doug.
All right, that was Jim Mooney. He is at Moorings Realty, which is in the Florida Keys, Isla Mirada. As he said, it's about 80 miles from Miami, 80 miles from Key West. He's right in the middle, and because of that, he's able to know what's happening in both areas. So that's a good thing. He does residential and commercial. I know he had a big hotel that he was selling down there. I should have asked a little bit more about that. But again, he's the man to go to. Also, he talked a little bit about the challenges of developing down there, and he talked about TDRs, and those are really important because I remember selling some property and it was like we had some lots down near Key West that you could transfer those rights to a development that was actually 50 miles north of there. And it's a crazy thing, but if you want to do any developing down there, Jim Mooney is the man to talk to, and again, a great resource as far as the Florida Keys in Isla Mirada. Again, 80 miles from Key West, 80 miles from Miami. We're going to go for a break. We've got another great guest that will be coming on after the break. I appreciate everybody listening from wherever you are, Switzerland, California. All right, we are back. You are listening to the First Title National Real Estate Radio Show. We've got another caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Doug. Good morning.
Is this Bill Reichel?
You got me.
All right. Hey, pleasure to have you on the show again. Bill, for our listeners, again, tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you do, sir.
I'm in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. I've been here since 1980 in the commercial real estate business, which is hard to believe. It's been over 30 years. I've had my company, which is Reichel Realty Investments, since 1987. So we're 26 years in business.
That's great.
And thank you. And we're a commercial real estate firm, and we handle really all facets of leasing, management. We do tax appeal. We do sales, development. We do a lot of workout stuff for banks over the years. I've been a receiver expert witness, worked through bankruptcy issues with different commercial real estate matters. So the whole kind of gamut, I guess. Worked with you on some auctions way back when.
Way back when, and one of them was a real nice one. Gosh, I can't remember.
FDIC or FSLIC?
FDIC, and it was a like 300 units out of a 800 unit apartment complex, I think, or a condominium. What was that place called?
Are you going to ask me that?
Yeah.
I do not remember.
I do not remember either.
Business together, and it's a great business. I love it. It's super challenging.
Yep.
It fits my kind of competitive nature, and I love dealing with people and businesses, and so it's really been a very rewarding career, and beyond my wildest expectations, what we've become. I'm super proud of my organization. There's 16 of us, and we have a phenomenal management team and great brokers, all of them with 20-plus years experience. So we've been through some tough times, but as they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I think we are stronger. We're seeing terrific activity. Actually, some transactions that we've been working on for really, believe it or not, 2 or 3 years are now getting done.
Mm-hmm.
With some bigger retail-type tenants and ground leases with some national firms and just some good stuff going on. So it's pretty exciting times, I think.
Well, you talked a little bit about the downturn and how there were some tough times, and of course you and I, although we feel very young, have been through a couple of those downturns. How did the last one affect the West Palm Beach area? How did it affect commercial? Give us a little summary on that, if you would.
For my firm, we've always done well in down times because we do a lot of bank work out. Our experience comes from a lot of that kind of work, as we were just talking about.
Yes.
I think in this particular downturn, there wasn't as much of the workout bank work that I had thought there would be.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because a lot of the banks really kind of took a position of kicking that can down the road a little bit.
Yes.
And there was just so much turmoil. There wasn't quite as much. I mean, we got our share, but I thought there'd be more. We manage a portfolio of about 1.5 million square feet, about 400 or 500 tenants. And when you do that, and they're all facets, they're retail, office, industrial, you really get a sense of the world because you're dealing with different businesses across the board.
Yep.
And you're dealing with a lot of their pains and struggles and their ability to pay rent, what's going on. And we, had to work with many, many, many of them just to get through. And some of them just folded their tent. And as we say, the strong, what doesn't kill you, makes you stronger. And now we're seeing the tenants that did hang in there and persevere are stronger, and a lot of the competition is gone. We're starting to see new businesses come in, and those stronger ones expand carefully because their memory is still there from what we've been through. But the thing that's different now is that we have our housing, which is doing well, which is really the engine that drives our economy in so many different ways. So I think that's the key element that we're seeing that seems to sustain some good, solid growth.
Well, I looked at your website just a couple of days ago, and man, you got lots of property that you're selling, and also said, what had sold. It was a great website.
Thank you.
Tell us where you're getting more business from right now. Is industrial doing better than any other area, retail, office? What's your thinking on that?
Industrial is coming back. It really took a big hit. A lot of distress, a lot of rate, discounting.
Right, drops.
It's still pretty cheap to rent industrial space, but it's getting absorbed. And a lot of that is, as a result of that housing we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
The contractors are busier. they're renting that kind of space. So we're seeing that. There hasn't been anything new built, so that's the good news. So anything that's out there is being absorbed. But we're kind of busy on all fronts to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
And we're starting to see new development, things in the plans. All the residential, any kind of residential land is being looked at, and a lot of activity on that front. For housing, I know you had a guy on for workforce housing.
Yep.
A lot of the apartment market has done very well, so there's a lot of bullishness in that field, and even in some smaller commercial developments. We have a lot of good things going on in our county per se. We have a very strong business development board that's, I think, done a marvelous job under Kelly Smallridge, doing a great job in attracting new businesses.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting our share of those coming in and expansions as well. And I think our schooling has gotten stronger, and that is a big proponent for those companies moving down here. The charter school system, we've done a lot of business with those types of companies expanding. We have a new prep school in our area called Oxbridge that's doing exceedingly well, headed by a guy named Bill Koch, and they're expanding. So there's a lot of really exciting, good, solid things going on. I think the mall in West Palm Beach is going to be a great catalyst for jobs and business in that area, that outlet mall that's being developed, the old West Palm Mall. That's one of the few major mall developments probably in the country that's being done.
How is downtown West Palm Beach doing? Has that done well? I know they were doing and again, this is a couple years ago, but they were building new hotels, and of course they've got the city center there. Tell me a little bit about downtown, if you would.
City Place is...
City Place, sorry.
Yeah, City Place with the convention center there.
Mm-hmm.
They're finally going to build a hotel to serve the convention center, which is, got to happen.
Got to happen.
It's way overdue, and they're finally going to get that done. It's going to take a few years to get up and finished.
Yeah.
City Place has gone through a lot of tenant changeover. They're going to put an LA Fitness in there now. I think the housing has gained some strength around it, which helps feed it.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting in a bowling alley, which is really going to be another kind of entertainment venue, with liquor and food.
Yep.
So I think it's kind of in a continual, flux. Those projects, when they get going, what we've seen over the 30 years I've been in the business is it's usually the guy who develops it. If he gets out early enough, he makes a huge profit. Then the next guy maybe falters a little bit, or the third guy falters, and then a bank gets it. And sometimes it takes the guy that comes in after the fact, or maybe even the third go-round, that has the basis low enough to be able to really turn it around. I think we're seeing that at downtown at the Gardens. The Berman family bought that at a deep discount.
Mm-hmm.
That was a development that I think the original guy who bought it from the developer had $300 million in it.
Wow.
I think they picked it up for 50 or 60.
Okay.
Put a lot of money in it, but it turned it around. It's where Whole Foods is, and the theater, Cop Theater. So sometimes it just takes some time, and timing's everything, as they say in life, right, Doug?
Absolutely. Tell me about lending. How has the commercial sector been as far as getting money?
It's been difficult.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an owner-occupant, you're golden to the bank.
Okay.
Credit's good, and you have some money.
Yep.
The SBA program has been done well.
Mm-hmm.
That's that owner-occupied stuff.
Yep.
But investment stuff, there's still a lot of, tenuousness in the market, and the lenders are extremely, they're being so highly scrutinized.
Yep.
By the feds and everything that, when you go in for a loan, you're under a microscope. And there used to be a saying, well, you could borrow money if you didn't need it. Well, now, even if you don't need it and you kind of want to, it's very difficult. So it's, I think it's loosening up some. they at some point, that's part of their business program is to lend money, so they're looking for those opportunities. They've just been very picky.
Right.
And that's not a horrible thing. I think it's, we went through a lot of time when they were throwing the money out the door. Now they became so stingent with it, and I think it got to come somewhere in the middle, and we'll be fine. And it seems to be moving in that direction.
You talked about banks kicking the can down the road, and you and I know what that means, and probably a lot of real estate professionals do. But for the general public, what does that mean in regards to what's available out there in regards to investments?
Well, they're not taking title. They're not pushing the foreclosure through.
Got it.
They're delaying. They're hoping the market will improve as they delay. Instead of picking up the can and putting it in the trash and dealing with the trash, they're kind of kicking it down the road a little bit. And we'll get to that later. We'll pick it up later and deal with it.
So kind of reworking the loans and
Right.
kind of making it easier for the person that's owes money.
I think it's twofold. First of all, our court system was so bogged down.
Yes,
It's hard to get through the process
Yep.
of a foreclosure. It still is. And just, with a bank, it's a lot of it's an accounting function of how much they have to write it down.
Yep.
How do they take the loss? What it does to their earnings? And they become under the guidelines of the FDIC. They're no longer capitalized properly, and then they have other problems. And so it's really I don't think it's been much fun being a banker over the last 7 years. And if you talk to any of them, and I know a lot of my friends sit on boards,
Yep.
which is something I've always avoided. It's not been fun. It's been very difficult times and hard decisions to make.
I have talked to a lot of people in the real estate market down in Florida, not only residential but commercial. They're getting a lot of buyers from South America. Does that happen all the way up in West Palm Beach, which is, 80 miles north or 60 miles north, something like that?
Not as much as,
Okay.
of course, in that Dade market, which is, flooded with that. Which
Yep.
has really, bought up all that inventory down there. It sometimes creeps up this way. We've had some of that, not really anything to the extent
Sure.
that they have. And we're not a residential firm, and I think
Right.
you probably get a better sense of that from a firm that's doing more residential stuff.
Yep.
But on the investment side, we haven't seen too much of that.
How about the Northeast sector? There always has seemed to be a Florida, New England, a New York. People have summer homes. They tend to buy businesses in both places. They tend to travel back and forth. Is that continuing? Do you see a lot of that in the West Palm Beach area?
Yeah, I think that's always been something that's happened and gone on, and I think we'll always have that.
Okay.
Just like on the west coast of Florida, they have more of the Midwest
Yes.
kind of contingent. We have more of the Northeast. So we still have some of that that goes on here. Sure.
What is your crystal ball as far as what's going to happen in commercial? Let's say the next 2 or 3 years. We'll kind of put it out a couple years from now. You've been in the business for a long time. You've seen the ups and downs. You know where the market is now. Where do you think we are going 2 to 3 years down the road?
I think we're in for some good times. I think as long as the Fed stays on track and our interest rates can stay reasonable,
Mm-hmm.
I think the housing, like as I said before, is that engine that's going to drive our economy. It seems to be doing well. I think in our area we've got some influx of some good jobs, which is what we need.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that whole, I think I have a lot of optimism I think it'll be hopefully more kind of tailored and not this, buying frenzy kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
It's better if it's more stable and just kind of tailored, and I'm hopeful for that, and I think that's what we can expect. So I'm optimistic, and I'm happy because I have 2 kids in college and I can't retire. So
I get that.
I still like what I do, so I'm very fortunate in that regard.
You have done very well, and it is very rare, because I see this across the country, where a non-major commercial firm can really dominate an area. And, I'm talking about the different, maybe top 10 commercial companies in the country. And yet in the West Palm Beach area, I'm looking at your website. You're really getting a great deal of traction from buyers and sellers. How did you do that? How do you compete with the big boys?
Well, I think if anybody knows me, they know me as an extremely competitive person. But I have an amazing amount of integrity, and I always. What drives me is not the money. What drives me is really wowing my customer, really doing the impossible. And a lot of the jobs that we've been involved with and the transactions we've accomplished have been very difficult. And so you gain that trust from people who know you, the lawyers that have dealt with you, and you feed on that. It builds. And that's really what has been our, why we're successful. And I surround myself with like-minded people.
Yep.
The people that we have here have the same thing. My organization is designed where we share in the wealth. So there's a lot of sharing. We have 401k. We have profit sharing. Our management team is involved in sharing commissions on sales that they're involved with. So there's a lot of synergy within our group, and it just shows, So when people deal with us, they know that we really, really care. And it's a difficult business, but we're up to that challenge. And it's all about urgency and communication and integrity, really. And so, it's not complicated. It's just it just is what it is. And you got to get up every morning and just love what you do and go after it, and that's with that zeal. And I think if you do, people get it, and people want to deal with you, and then they tell other people.
Well,
that's what happens.
That's the nice thing when your customers tell other people about you. That call is an easy sale.
That's the one. Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And my next question is: you've been in business. You do a great job. You've been there for a while. You go through the West Palm Beach area, and there's that sign, Reichel Realty, and there's another sign, Reichel Realty. They're all over. What do you think your percentage of business is from repeat clients? That's a toughie.
I think what happens is we have a client, we handle a portfolio for a trust.
Okay.
And we've had it for 4 years.
Oh, nice.
So what happens is, and they bought some stuff with us. We've sold some stuff for them. So they stay with you.
Yep.
But you know what? Every day, you got to prove your worth.
Yes.
What you did yesterday doesn't mean anything. So every day you have to just keep making it happen. They don't want to hear. You're not going to stay on your laurels. So I think a lot of it is just when we get a customer, we really keep them because we have that attitude. We do a lot of work in the automotive industry for dealers. We've done work for probably 5 or 6 of the top dealerships in our area in handling their real estate and helping them with real estate. And some of them for 30 years.
Wow.
That we've just done work for them. And if they have a situation, they call me. So that's just phenomenal. That's what, you live for. And it does feel good. that they have that trust and confidence in you. But I couldn't tell you, percentage-wise.
Lots.
A lot. But, we're always picking up new clients, too, that
Yes.
hear about us or call us. Or
Yes.
we're doing a tremendous amount on the Internet. We have an email newsletter we send out. I think it's grown to about 10,000 people get it. We do blasts on that several times a month for different projects, announcements. We're actually reworking our corporate brochure right now and our website to kind of bring it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always looking to invest more money back into our business and try to be better and stay with the times. And that's what you have to do today.
Well, you've got a great company, and you do dominate in that market as far as I'm concerned. I lived in that area. I saw all the signs. Of course, we've done business before, and that's why I went out to you when I had property from the government that I was needing to sell. You were the one I went after because you knew everybody, you knew all the different commercial parts, and so that was an easy decision to go call you. So, with that segue, how do people get a hold of you, Bill?
Well, the easiest thing would be you can go on our website, which is ReichelRealty.com, and Reichel is spelled REICHEL, Realty.com. My email is B as in boy, Reichel, BREICHEL, @ReichelRealty.com. Our office number, 561-478-4440, and you can call anytime. We have actually a real person that answers the phone.
Isn't that nice?
Hours, which is important.
Yes, it is.
And your call will be handled, and if you want me, you call me, and I will always get back to you.
Customer service is what people want, and that's how you build a business, and you've done it well in the West Palm Beach area. I thank you so much for calling in, Bill. I look forward.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and an honor, and you're a terrific, catalyst for this kind of thing, and I commend you for all that you do.
Well, I appreciate it. I look forward to going down there and having a nice tea with you, and look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you for being on the show. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Doug. You too.
You bet. Bye-bye. All right, that was Bill Reichel. He is the CEO of Reichel Realty in West Palm Beach, Florida. Again, it is not a franchise. It is not one of the big top 10 commercial companies, and yet he is so good, and he has kept people on staff. I think he said he's got like 15, 16, and the average year that they've been with him is like 20 years. I mean, no one does that in this business unless you're really good and that you're very effective and you make money for your clients, you make money for your salespeople. And so, again, kudos to Bill Reichel of Reichel Realty. Thank you for being on the show. And, of course, Jim Mooney, thanks for him being on the show from Moorings Realty in the Florida Keys, Isla Morada. I want to go over that article that I started early. DSnews.com, first-time buyers have smaller budget, interest in foreclosures by Esther Cho on July 5th. Basically saying first-time home buyers tend to work with smaller budgets compared to repeat buyers. And it looks like doorsteps.com is the source for this article of hers. And it says first-time buyers are also more likely to buy a foreclosure compared to a repeat buyer, according to the website. And they provided three main reasons to explain this. For one, first-time buyers might have more of a reason to seek out discounted properties since they've got a small budget, of course. And then, according to Doorstep, first-time home buyers spend an average of $154,000 on a home, which is $66,000 less than repeat buyers who spend an average of $220,000. So, A lot of first-time home buyers are looking for foreclosures, bank-owned property. Guess they're willing to maybe fix it up a little bit. It doesn't need to be perfect. They'd rather, if they're first-time home buyers, they've got an investment that they're going to do for a long time. And so good stuff from Esther Cho of dsnews.com. Go on there, try to get on the Daily Dose. It's a free newsletter. I appreciate all my guests calling in. Thank you so much for listening, folks, and hopefully you have a wonderful weekend and spend some time with your family. Take care.